you to know, before you pick on Carl too much, he had to be here tonight because I was his superintendent. He is really coordinating what is left of the administrators from way back. We meet about once or twice a year, do we, Carl? Or will we? Anyway, we leave it at that. I appreciate your being here. Now, where was I? Sarah? Right?
They're getting ready to come to this district from the county superintendent.
Oh, the war comes on about 1942. That's 41. 41. And I was young, married, no children, and the question was whether or not that job was one that should hold, or that we didn't need to go. Well, whether we need to go or not, I was fortunate enough to be given well, not a promotion, but a reserve title in the Navy, and I went into the service. That would have been about 1943, 42 or 43. I had met many of the administrators in the county before that time, and Mann was one of them, although I didn't know her well. He knew our cut-off a little better because we had occasions where I would meet with the superintendent's group. So went into the service, stayed there and came back in about 1912 when the war ended, or a few months after the war ended. And you may recall, those of you who were here at that time, there was terrific growth going on. It hadn't really started yet, but it was getting ready to begin. And because of the service people who had been here, and because the population had traveled and spread here and there, and Clover Park was one of the fastest growing districts. And there was a lot of building needed, and a lot of supplies and teachers and everything else needed. And the county office was sort of central in that. And so we were working closely with the districts. And the first time I recall meeting Ida Mann would have been about 1944, I guess, or 45, was after the war was over anyway. She came in to see me because she was filling out or doing a lot of applications for money, which Clover Park did. That was heavily impacted government and military, crowding the districts and necessitating a lot of extra funds. But she brought in a form that she had done up, getting ready to send in to the state and to the federal government. And she came in to see the county superintendent because the county superintendent had to put his name on it. And I looked it over and I could see that it was very well done, but I made some changes in it and gave it back to her. And what I recall is she looked at it and was very, very polite. She says, "This is, I wonder if we can say this in fewer words." It was my first lesson from I Have a Man. Fred Minor would have been, tech school. Who else did I mention? Well, anyway, all anyone dealing with her would remember and know that was how good she was at things like that. Schools grew fast. Clover Park was going just wildfire. I don't know if you remember the Clarence Rugers, Rugers, the architects, and others. I suppose, after about 6 or 8 years, 10 years probably, Mann came in to the office. By that time, we'd become very good friends. And not that we weren't always good friends, but I mean, we worked together a great deal. Not only in the county, but the state. She was very much busy with her state organizations, and I was busy with a number of mine too. But we worked together very, very closely. And I suppose it would have been about in 1946. I came in and said, "Oh, I'm wanting to leave." Now, that would have been about that year, wouldn't it?
She retired about 47.
47. That's right. So when I said 46. And I think you should be superintendent for the park. Well, that was the beginning of it. And she said, Art Lovely's planning to quit too, or retire. And that's how I happened to come to Clover Park. And I remember so distinctly her telling me it's a wonderful opportunity, why? Because the growth is tailing off. It will not continue much longer. We have about 2,500 students in the district. It'll be a wonderful opportunity to do things that you can't do here because you're stuck here with an awful lot of detail and funding and whatever. So she said, it'll give you time to do some studying on the side and to do some wonderful things educationally, because you're not going to have to fuss around with growth. That has been pretty well taken care of. It's the only time I knew about health and everything dead wrong. I came out here, there were about 2,500 to 3,000 students. And the rest of the story is that after about 10 more years, 12 years, we're up at 17,000. And it went up to about close to 20,000, I think. And we were sending Ken Storsley, our personnel men, to North Dakota and Minnesota and elsewhere to pick up teachers. We got a lot of good ones from there. It was an exciting time. It brought problems too, and problems that have made it difficult even to this day because of the movement of people, so many people coming in. But it was fun to be working with Mann, and she was a wonderful, wonderful person. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about her. There are a few pictures of Mrs. Mann and the board on some of the sheets that are on the table there in the back.
You're all welcome to look at the table and the display board.
Can I say something?
Yes.
My name is Jane Cooper, and I've only been a member of this organization for about 2 years. Yes, I must say, Mr. Higgins, especially Mrs. Point said, you went to a lot of trouble, and this is the best presentation I've seen at this club.
Oh, thank you.
Really lovely.
school. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many graduated from Clover Park High School? That's a pretty good percentage. And for those of you that have not attended our meetings before, and for those of you that this might have been a first time or a non-member, this is what our meetings are all about. So join and bring a friend, because they've just been wonderful.
Si, what's the next program?
I'd like to make just one comment. I was in the first group that went through Mann Junior High all 3 years. I started there in 7th grade when it was brand new and went through 9th grade there and then went on to Clover Park High School. My mom attended Clover Park High School. I attended Clover Park High School. My older daughter attended Clover Park High School. And
I have 4 that you do graduated from Clover Park.
yeah, my brother and sister, my brother-in-law, and I did not actually get to know who the Poinsets were and the Manns. I knew the Manns before I knew the Poinsets, and Robin Shaw and I were in the same class. And this has just been
What year
like
was that?
65. And it's been like old home week here, all of these names and everything. Mr. Finbo was principal at Clover Park.
I'd just like to say
when I
one
was there.
thing too, is that it seems to me that the story is so interesting, Betty, that I would hope that maybe someone might take it if you could help doing it and write that history, which I think is fascinating, plus some of the pictures. Si probably could do it, or someone that.
We tape them, Carl.
It's taped
This whole program has been taped.
You're on tape right
Someone would take that and maybe
Yeah.
make it into a book. I think it'd be a fascinating book for your history.
Did I say to you that I make it clear that Carl is the only one able-bodied enough of the old administrators to take care of the group together? So he's the one that calls us together. But he's getting all the skill at it.
Okay, Si, you were going to say what our next program was?
Well, as happens when you spring something on me, I can't remember the guy's name. He wrote the history of Chief Leshai, and he's going to talk to us next month.
Is that going to be here?
Yes.
Okay.
Third Tuesday of March, and his, I'll tell you, his Jerry Ekram. Jerry Ekram, local author and historian. Okay?
It was 154 years ago today that Leshai was hung. February 19th.
Just because I have to say this, because I graduated from Clover Park. My 4 children, Mike being one of them,